what does the term YA baby mean to you?
That just means like basically like me, like wow, that's the term that we all said. That all of us that went just call it that YA baby. All of us that went got YA number.
Okay.
Because like the dudes on the street that didn't go to YA gave us that name, so they said we all got out like tripping, like all like tripping and politicking and like it changed us. Like that's what they say. Like everybody say like man, you changed. YA changed.
Like, gotcha.
Like you man, like you political and everything is like you like more aggressive, you more like you be tripping and shit. Like you quick to fight like now, like that shit like that. So it changed us. I guess it was like some PTSD shit, you know.
Yeah. So you did 3 years. You said what years were you
there? 91, 92, 93, and 94.
Okay.
Got out in the 94.
That's when I think 93, 94 was when LA County was at the highest homicide rates in history. I mean, we think it's bad now. It's bad now, trust me. But back then, the murder rate was way.
Oh
higher.
It was the murder capital at that time.
Yeah. 92, 93, 94. Okay, so you're in YA. What's the environment like? Give me a typical day of what's going on, who you linking up with, you know, some of the horrors, some of the crazy shit you saw.
In there?
Yeah, inside YA.
Oh man, it wasn't nothing but just a whole lot of shit. I can't even think like what the craziest. It was just a whole lot of fights. It wasn't a whole lot of fights and like whenever it was a lot of like battery pack, like people putting like batteries and soap in the socks and shit like that. We used to call that pack. Back then, that was packing out. Now packing out is when somebody get jumped, like come from the word rat pack. Like when you jump at somebody, like when more than one person jumping on one dude. Now that's packed out. But back then, that was packed out like putting some soap in the sock or batteries or a lock, whatever you can get that was hard, rock, anything that was hard, you can get in a sock and tie a knot on that shit and attacking, like, you know what I mean, whoever you had beef with when they wasn't expecting it. You know what I mean? And busting their head open. You know what I mean? That type of shit was going on. Like, dude might be asleep. You might be asleep 2 a.m. You just hear, and you look, you see somebody beating somebody with packing somebody out and they just bleeding and he just, I'm going to say that probably was the most horrific, you know what I mean? That and the people that got booty bandits.
Damn.
It was YA booty bandits, man. It was dudes in there, man. It was sad, bro. It was dudes in there who never had sex with a woman and was booty bandits.
Yeah.
was taking boys. Yeah. Young dudes. When we young. Teenagers, and you go up to 25, but it was teenagers doing it in there. There was dudes in there who went. Most of them dudes that was doing that, they went real young. Like, you know what I mean? You had a dude like robbed and killed the ice cream man when he was like 9 or 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A dude like that. You know, so it was like all them dudes I noticed they had murders when they was like 9, 10, 11, and then you finna do our juvenile life back then. You doing 7 years, so. You know what I mean? They like start off when they like 9, 10, 11. You see them, they like 18, but you can go till you 25, so they getting into all type of shit. And then, that type of shit was going on too.
Yeah, it's always been interesting, for lack of better words, to me that you had 25-year-olds locked up with 9 and 10-year-olds.
Ain't that something? Imagine that. California is crazy as hell, ain't they? 9, 10 years old with 25 years old, all locked up again in a fucking prison. Come on, man, that's inhumane. And but yeah, what I was just saying about that type of stuff, it wasn't like an open thing. That never been anywhere in California on any general population in jail in California anywhere. That type of stuff I was just talking about, the dudes getting raped and stuff. Any of that type of activity, any sexual type of shit, is not in the open though. Like it is in other states where how they show that shit on TV, like it's just on the yard and dudes. No, hell no. It never happened in California. No type of, you know what I mean? like open up dudes doing that type of shit behind closed doors and they sell or something. That's something you will hear about. You never see it, you know. I ain't never seen literally like my eyes seen no shit like that. Like, but I just like, oh, this happened, or you know what I mean? Like I heard like behind the door, I heard them behind the door. I never witnessed that shit. I never got the shit. I'm glad I didn't, you know.
Yeah.
But
the Y system.
Yeah, so let me clarify that when I said that was happening.
Yeah,
I
you didn't
didn't
see
want
it.
anybody to think that it was just like a wide open like type of where it was just like cool. Like no, hell no.
Yeah. Y system is a thing of the past now. Do you think that was the best idea to get rid of it?
It really ain't no difference because now they still pretty much doing the same thing because now they got ways to where they'll hold you till you get like a certain age, then they'll still send you to prison. They still have you locked up, and it's the same thing is going on. The same mentality is going on wherever they locked up at. So it don't matter whether it's actual California Youth Authorities, those, you know, it's still the same. It's still kids getting in trouble and getting locked up and going on their way to prison.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They doing the same shit that we were doing. They still in there, you know what I mean, super violent, trying to kill each other, and you know what I mean? They young, they got they don't, you know what I mean? You still growing up, you a kid. You don't even know, you still trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But everything, being a gang member is in front of all that. Growing up and learning how to be a man is the last thing that's on your mind. Sad to say.
Trying to survive.
Yeah. So a lot of people get stagnated and get, you know what I mean, what they call arrested development.
Yeah. Where
you have dudes who go in prison 19 and he go do like 15 years and mentally he's still 19 when he get out. Like, you know, that's why, because they haven't had time to sit down and really, you know what I mean, or figure out their self. You know what I mean? Even if they got degrees, you got people that study, even if they had the time to be able to study and get a degree and be able to get, you know, learn some certain type of skills that where they can have employment once they get out, but still mentally, like the whole mental health part, ain't nobody got time to, you know what I mean? Imagine like it's already out in the world how men's mental health is just like super underrated.
Yeah.
But then in there where it's just the dog-eat-dog world where it's just always violent and turned up, where you always got to fight and watch your back and all that, you ain't got time to be worried about your mental health and, you know, how you going to develop and be a man and be shit. And survive once you get back into society and be able to, you know, all that type of shit. You ain't thinking about that. So that's why people get stuck. And they be like, damn, man, he burnt out. That dude did all that time. He institutionalized. He this and he that. Yeah. Because ain't no rehabilitation going on at all.
Positive or negative, what was the biggest lesson you learned during your time at YA?
Positive or negative, biggest lesson. What from being in there, the biggest?
Yeah, just when you came out, you know, did it make you for the better, for the worse? I mean,
it made me understand people a little bit more. It made me be more social, and it made me open my eyes on different type of people. Yeah, so I would say that, and that's positive.
Yeah, definitely.
That's positive because I wasn't social whatsoever before. I didn't really, if it wasn't my circle or like my family, you really couldn't get a lot of conversation out of me prior to YA. So I went to YA and met people from all over, and you know, different background, different. You know, your celly is another race in YA, so you get exposed to a whole different. You're in a cell with a white boy or a Hispanic.
Yeah.
So that's a whole total different, you know, you go from living with only black people in your family to now you waking up every day to an Hispanic dude or a white dude in a 2-man cell. Okay. So that right there is just a cultural shock right there.
Yeah. Learning each other's cultures. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and they just purposely do that. But I don't know if they doing it for positive, which I doubt. You know what I mean? And but I think that's positive, actually.
Yeah, definitely. That's
because,
definitely.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you know that you just learn social skills. You learn other people's background, other people's cultures, and you learn and that's the first. I was raised with respect, so that ain't nothing that I've been respectful, until it's time to, my disrespect was physical. I never could argue much.
While you were locked up, you probably never been that close to blood, without some funk popping up.
No, that was the first time. When I first went to juvenile hall, that was the first time when I seen the blood. I remember the first, when the dude from 30 Piru, he was like, "Where you from?" I was like, "DuARTE CRlP." And he was like, 30 Piru. As soon as I heard the Piru, I'm like, because at that time, we all first started hearing about each other's hoods and shit, because if we not close, because you know how big LA is, So if we not close in vicinity, like with the gang wise, we don't know about all those gangs till we go start going to jail. But you hear the blood, the Piru, the CRlP part, all right, that's a rival then. So I'm here, Piru. I'm ready to jump. We sitting down. We in the halls. We doing our halls. He's like, I'm getting ready to get up. But he like, ride. Like back then, that was like when we said ride, like that was like a respect thing. You know what I mean? That was like so he said that. I was like thrown off, and he reached to shake my hand. I was like, so I was confused. That's the first time I was like, damn. He was the first blood I ever talked to. It was like, and he was cool. We was just chopping it up, and I was like, that's when I started learning, like, it ain't just all Crips and all Bloods, just like immediate hidden rivals. It was just gangs. It never was just how the world viewed it, as like it was just red on blue. It never really was like that. Just all red on all blue. It actually never was like that. It was just always certain gangs against each other. And sometimes it's blue on blue, sometimes it's red on red, sometimes blue on red, but it's just no certain. Sometimes it's it's black on brown. But it's just the area of those gangs, you know what I mean? So that's when I realized that. We're like, all right, these dudes is cool. They blood, they cool with me, but they don't like them Crips, and I don't like those bloods. But, you know what I mean? That type shit. So it was like, that's when you learned that. So it was like, damn. A lot of bloods I was super cool with too. Once I seen that, like, that's most of the dudes I actually now think about it. Most of my like friends in there that I was close with, they was blood. And they was like they was like reputables from they said, like I am from mine. Like they was like somebody. Their name held some weight. So that's why we hit it up. But come think about it, most of my partners in there, they was blood.
Well, I'm glad you're here to share your story, man. If I can keep you for about 20 more minutes, I'd love to talk some hip hop and talk about your music.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay, cool.
That's my first love.
Perfect.
Right,
same here, man. When I was a kid, nothing else was around. I had my boombox and I had my tapes and I had my Power 106 and my 92.3 The Beat and hip hop is my first love. So there's not too many things I love talking about more. Let's talk about a couple of stories in hip hop first before we talk about your music personally, because I would love your take on some of the things going on in this crazy hip hop world right now. But
I'm with it.
Yeah,
it's my culture. Man.
And you being an older cat, and I say that respectfully, I definitely want to know your take on things. But nowadays,
I'm OG. Been in the game 20 years in the game.
There it is.
Hip hop. Me personally, been doing music 20 years, but I've been hip hop all my life. OG game. Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, lately, past few years, we've had a lot of rappers just dying, man, getting shot, robbed. It's really bad out there for rappers right now. How do you think rappers should move when they're moving from city to city, state to state, even in their own city? You know what I mean? Nowadays.
Yeah, okay. It's really simple, but everybody being that it happens so much out here, and the reason being it happens so much out here because this is LA. This is the land of opportunity. It's the land of milk and honey where everybody want to come and chase their dreams. So of course, it's going to be more in the media out here, anywhere, of course. So, but anyway, with that being said, also, a lot of people seem to forget those guys have celebrity. You know what I mean? The rappers, the entertainers, the rappers, the sing, whoever, the famous guys you see. And so it looks, it gets so much media coverage because of that. But nobody is looking at the people that's happening to every day out here, the regular people that they don't hear about. So it's not everybody, and I want everybody who from anywhere outside of Los Angeles in the world, however they looking at it and feeling about us right now, to know that it ain't just because you from another state or anywhere. It's happening we doing it to each other. This is LA. This is what goes on. This how it is. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Period. So it ain't just he's from out of town. I keep seeing a lot of these people. Y'all be, going through these little blogs here and there, and I'm seeing a lot of people taking their little shots at us. You know what I mean? And saying that, like we just targeting people from out of state or rappers from out of state. It's not about no rappers. It's not about nobody everybody out here. Anybody can get it.
Anybody,
wild, wild
and
West.
that's what bothers me, homie, is that something needs to change when it happens to a rapper, but this shit happens every day. People are getting shot in the face while eating at random Mexican spots, food spots, Alberto's. I mean, I'm talking specifically about a situation not too far from where we grew up. But yeah, people are always getting shot, but it only makes the news when it's a rapper, unfortunately, or
exactly, man. But it's an everyday thing. It's a regular, it's what we have to deal with, man. And we don't. And then another thing that they don't realize, that us being from out here, even me being a gang member, even though I'm an older gang member and I'm inactive, I'm not, obviously I'm not actively gang banging no more at the age I am and how long I've been around and what I know. But I'm saying, even with me being with my background, most of us don't even agree with it and don't feel like that. It's like, but it's just, it's shit that happens. It's a lot of random, spontaneous, just madness that happens. You know what I mean? But as a whole, everybody don't agree like that's how it should be. Everybody don't feel like, oh yeah, this LA, it should be like. For the most part, we not cool with it, but it is what it is, and it's where we're from.
What are your thoughts on checking in?
Well, see, in that it's very necessary, but I just think it's just those words, just that terminology, check in, those two words, I think it's perceived the wrong way. But the actual definition of what people are saying by it is necessary. But I guess for some reason, most rappers and dudes who, like do in the streets, when they hear it, they feel like it makes you less of a man or less of a gangster or whatever they are. You know what I mean? But that's not what people are saying. So that's where the thing get misconstrued. Now, the actual meaning of it, I agree with it. But it's like how it sounds that those people are. But with all that being said, I noticed what I've been seeing with a lot of these dudes coming out here. They know because of their reputation up out here and because of the Crips and Bloods started out here. And Crips and Bloods is like a worldwide phenomenon now. And like, everything that happens out here and all the way back to the, the Tupac and Biggie days and all the stuff that happens like out here, period. And I think, man, like, it's just like everybody try to like that's in rappers wise, because most of them dudes like have a like street background, so they try to put an extra little gangster on themselves when they come out here. Like they feel like they have something to prove. Like, I can go anywhere, and that's where you fucking up there, because not just out here in LA and anywhere, you can't just go anywhere. When you go into a city, a major city, you know what parts you should not go to. That's just common sense. Rich and famous still feel like that they need to prove to go, I'm gonna go to the hood. Man. I can go anywhere to any hood and that's what that's just the ignorance of an individual. You know what I mean? When it comes to that point, when it's like that, like, come on, that's anywhere you go. It's not just out there, like, don't go over there. Like, why go? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And then especially go over there, like, dangling steak
in front of a bunch of lions, yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, so that's like on purpose. Like, you really was antagonizing. And then I was seeing the videos and shit. PNB was the shit he was saying right before. I was like, damn, he was like really. You know what I mean? But so that was like an isolated situation, though. But he made it kind of look like it was aimed toward the entire LA, And then now his people and everybody else, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to perpetuate any of that, so I ain't gonna even get no further into that, because I don't want to perpetuate any type of black on black, any stupidity,
Thank you for tuning in to Dusty Vision TV. Please hit that like button if you have not already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. Hollywood has always been full of predators. the music business, the movie industry, has always preyed on the weak. Since the beginning of time. Long before the Puff Daddies, allegedly, long before the Bill Cosbys, Hollywood has always lured people to the spotlights who have hopes and dreams of becoming the next big star. They fail to realize that a lot of the times that comes with a price. We've all heard the stories from all of the child actors throughout the years who unfortunately had to experience life a lot faster than the average kid because some Hollywood executive creep decided to act out one of his own fantasies. There's a famous clip from an old Larry King show where Shirley Temple, child star from the 1930s, talks about her interaction with an executive from MGM. Yes, that MGM. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the ones who still make movies to this day. Yes, that MGM. The ones who have a big-ass hotel in the middle of Las Vegas right now. That MGM. Yes. Here's a clip of Shirley Temple from the 1980s, I believe, discussing her experience at MGM back in the 1930s. And keep in mind, she was a child when this happened.
When I left Fox, I went to MGM for one picture. Thank goodness, only one. And when I got there with my mother, we were separated. She went into the office of Louis B. Mayer, and I went into the office of Arthur Freed. And he was going to talk to me about a movie he wanted to put me in. I'm 12 years old, you know. And I thought he was a producer, but instead he was an exhibitor. And I'd never seen anyone naked before, except myself. So I had no clue about what was happening. And so it struck me so funny, I laughed at him. And I laughed uproariously. I had tears, you know, and he got infuriated. And he said, out, 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 go.
Did you tell your mother?
Well, I was very quiet. I went down and met her in the lobby of the administration building. She came out very quietly from Louis B. Mayer's office. And we walked hand in hand silently to the car, which was unusual. We got in the car driving home. I said, Mom, you won't believe what happened to me. And I told her what happened, and she got kind of quiet. And she said, well, you don't know what happened to me. And Louis B. Mayer wasn't as bad as Freed was to me.
Have you tried
but
it?
He came on to my mother. And so we both decided that we didn't like MGM much. It was, you know, it was better at Fox.
We all remember Shirley Temple, right? I would say if you're at least 35 and up, you know the name. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, we had like 5 channels. Literally like 5 or 6 channels. And for some reason, Shirley Temple was shoved down our throat. Pippi Longstocking was shoved down our throat for some reason. Motherfucking Three Stooges and Little Rascals were shoved down my throat as a kid. You kids don't realize how good you have it nowadays, is all I'm saying, with your 572 channels and your YouTubes and your Twitches and your TikToks. We had none of that. We had 5 channels. But what I always found weird about Shirley Temple, more so as an adult, because I really didn't catch it as a kid, I always found it weird how they dressed Shirley Temple in her movies. They always dressed her in a very short skirt, barely covering her hoo-ha. And she was always dancing around or on top of literally grown-ass men. Go back and watch some of the clips. Like this little, I don't know, 5-year-old girl is dancing while a bunch of dudes are looking up her skirt. It's really, just looking back, it's really weird. But back to Shirley Temple on Larry King. When I watched that, I wonder how many moms encouraged their child to follow through with such advances. Gotta get that roll, honey. Now go do what you gotta do. Makes me sick just thinking about it. People who do things like that to kids are the lowest of the low. these pieces of trash don't realize that while they're getting off for their 30 seconds and moving on with their lives, that sticks with you, the person who got violated, for life. That shit sticks with you for life. That's why I have no love for the R. Kellys. Someone played Step in the Name of Love recently, and I had to kindly exit the dance floor. That's why I have no love for the Bill Cosbys. I don't even watch the Cosby Show anymore, and that was one of my favorite shows. Baby, night and day, baby, night and day, baby. You remember when Rudy did that? That was my shit. I can't even watch that anymore. That's why I have no love for the Puff Daddies, allegedly. I stopped listening to his music. I can't spend time in HAWAII anymore with you, Puffy, until you clear this shit up, bro.
I can't get jiggy with this shit.
I feel bad for Shirley Temple or any other kid or adult who was taken advantage of by someone with a little more power than they had. Rot in hell. Hollywood has always been full of predators. The music business, the movie industry, has always preyed on the weak. Since the beginning of time. Long before the Puff Daddies, allegedly, long before the Bill Cosbys, Hollywood has always lured people to the spotlights who have hopes and dreams of becoming the next big star. They fail to realize that a lot of the times that comes with a price. We've all heard the stories from all of the child actors throughout the years who unfortunately had to experience life a lot faster than the average kid because some Hollywood executive creep decided to act out one of his own fantasies. There's a famous clip from an old Larry King show where Shirley Temple, child star from the 1930s, talks about her interaction with an executive from MGM. Yes, that MGM. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the ones who still make movies to this day. Yes, that MGM. The ones who have a big-ass hotel in the middle of Las Vegas right now. That MGM. Yes. Here's a clip of Shirley Temple from the 1980s, I believe, discussing her experience at MGM back in the 1930s. And keep in mind, she was a child when this happened.
When I left Fox, I went to MGM for one picture. Thank goodness, only one. And when I got there with my mother, we were separated. She went into the office of Louis B. Mayer, and I went into the office of Arthur Freed. And he was going to talk to me about a movie he wanted to put me in. I'm 12 years old, you know. And I thought he was a producer, but instead he was an exhibitor. And I'd never seen anyone naked before, except myself. So I had no clue about what was happening. And so it struck me so funny, I laughed at him. And I laughed uproariously. I had tears, you know, and he got infuriated. And he said, out, 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 go.
Did you tell your mother?
Well, I was very quiet. I went down and met her in the lobby of the administration building. She came out very quietly from Louis B. Mayer's office. And we walked hand in hand silently to the car, which was unusual. We got in the car driving home. I said, Mom, you won't believe what happened to me. And I told her what happened, and she got kind of quiet. And she said, well, you don't know what happened to me. And Louis B. Mayer wasn't as bad as Freed was to me. But he came on to my mother. And so we both decided that we didn't like MGM much. It was, you know, it was better at Fox.
We all remember Shirley Temple, right? I would say if you're at least 35 and up, you know the name. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, we had like 5 channels. Literally like 5 or 6 channels. And for some reason, Shirley Temple was shoved down our throat. Pippi Longstocking was shoved down our throat for some reason. Motherfucking Three Stooges and Little Rascals were shoved down my throat as a kid. You kids don't realize how good you have it nowadays, is all I'm saying, with your 572 channels and your YouTubes and your Twitches and your TikToks. We had none of that. We have 5 channels. But what I always found weird about Shirley Temple, more so as an adult, because I really didn't catch it as a kid, I always found it weird how they dressed Shirley Temple in her movies. They always dressed her in a very short skirt, barely covering her hoo-ha. And she was always dancing around or on top of literally grown-ass men. Go back and watch some of the clips. Like this little, 5-year-old girl is dancing while a bunch of dudes are looking up her skirt. It's really, just looking back, it's really weird. But back to Shirley Temple on Larry King. When I watched that, I wonder how many moms encouraged their child to follow through with such advances. Gotta get that role, honey. Now go do what you gotta do. Makes me sick just thinking about it. People who do things like that to kids are the lowest of the low. These pieces of trash don't realize that while they're getting off for their 30 seconds and moving on with their lives, that sticks with you, the person who got violated, for life. That shit sticks with you for life. That's why I have no love for the R. Kellys. Someone played Step in the Name of Love recently, and I had to kindly exit the dance floor. That's why I have no love for the Bill Cosbys. I don't even watch the Cosby Show anymore, and that was one of my favorite shows. Baby, night and day. Baby, night and day. Baby. You remember when Rudy did that? That was my shit. I can't even watch that anymore. That's why I have no love for the Puff Daddies, allegedly. I stopped listening to his music. I can't spend time in HAWAII anymore with you, Puffy, until you clear this shit up, bro.
I can't get jiggy with this shit.
I feel bad for Shirley Temple or any other kid or adult who was taken advantage of by someone with a little more power than they had. Rot in hell. Hollywood has always been full of predators. The music business, the movie industry, has always preyed on the weak. Since the beginning of time. Long before the Puff Daddies, allegedly, long before the Bill Cosbys, Hollywood has always lured people to the spotlights who have hopes and dreams of becoming the next big star. They fail to realize that a lot of the times that comes with a price. We've all heard the stories from all of the child actors throughout the years who unfortunately had to experience life a lot faster than the average kid because some Hollywood executive creep decided to act out one of his own fantasies. There's a famous clip from an old Larry King show where Shirley Temple, child star from the 1930s, talks about her interaction with an executive from MGM. Yes, that MGM. Metro Goldwyn Mayer, the ones who still make movies to this day. Yes, that MGM. The ones who have a big ass hotel in the middle of Las Vegas right now. That MGM. Yes. Here's a clip of Shirley Temple from the 1980s, I believe, discussing her experience at MGM back in the 1930s. And keep in mind, she was a child. when this happened.
When I left Fox, I went to MGM for one picture. Thank goodness, only one. And when I got there with my mother, we were separated. She went into the office of Louis B. Mayer, and I went into the office of Arthur Freed. And he was going to talk to me about a movie he wanted to put me in. I'm 12 years old, you know. And I thought he was a producer, but instead he was an exhibitor. And I'd never seen anyone naked before, except myself. So I had no clue about what was happening. And so it struck me so funny, I laughed at him. And I laughed uproariously. I had tears, you know, and he got infuriated. And he said, out, 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 go.
Did you tell your mother?
Well, I was very quiet. I went down and met her in the lobby of the administration building. She came out very quietly from Louis B. Mayer's office. And we walked hand in hand silently to the car, which was unusual. We got in the car driving home. I said, Mom, you won't believe what happened to me. And I told her what happened, and she got kind of quiet. And she said, well, you don't know what happened to me. And Louis B. Mayer wasn't as bad as Freed was to me.
Have you tried
but
it?
He came on to my mother. And so we both decided that we didn't like MGM much. It was, you know, it was better at Fox.
We all remember Shirley Temple, right? I would say if you're at least 35 and up, you know the name. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, we had like 5 channels. Literally like 5 or 6 channels. And for some reason, Shirley Temple was shoved down our throat. Pippi Longstocking was shoved down our throat for some reason. Motherfucking Three Stooges and Little Rascals were shoved down my throat as a kid. You kids don't realize how good you have it nowadays, is all I'm saying, with your 572 channels and your YouTubes and your Twitches and your TikToks. We had none of that. We had 5 channels. But what I always found weird about Shirley Temple, more so as an adult, because I really didn't catch it as a kid, I always found it weird how they dressed Shirley Temple in her movies. They always dressed her in a very short skirt, barely covering her hoo-ha. And she was always dancing around or on top of literally grown-ass men. Go back and watch some of the clips. Like this little, I don't know, 5-year-old girl is dancing while a bunch of dudes are looking up her skirt. It's really, just looking back, it's really weird. But back to Shirley Temple on Larry King. When I watched that, I wonder how many moms encouraged their child to follow through with such advances. Gotta get that roll, honey. Now go do what you gotta do. Makes me sick just thinking about it. People who do things like that to kids are the lowest of the low. These pieces of trash don't realize that while they're getting off for their 30 seconds and moving on with their lives, that sticks with you, the person who got violated, for life. That shit sticks with you for life. That's why I have no love for the R. Kellys. Someone played Step in the Name of Love recently, and I had to kindly exit the dance floor. That's why I have no love for the Bill Cosbys. I don't even watch the Cosby Show anymore, and that was one of my favorite shows. Baby, night and day, baby, night and day, baby. You remember when Rudy did that? That was my shit. I can't even watch that anymore. That's why I have no love for the Puff Daddies, allegedly. I stopped listening to his music. I can't spend time in HAWAII anymore with you, Puffy, until you clear this shit up, bro.
I can't get jiggy with this shit.
I feel bad for Shirley Temple or any other kid or adult who was taken advantage of by someone with a little more power than they had. Rot in hell. Every time I see a story about a man getting taken out by the police, I don't just go for the headline. I like to dig a little deeper and see what happened. Well, not too long ago, a man in Los Angeles got popped by the LAPD because he decided to point something at them. Of course, it's a sad story that someone is not here anymore. I'm sure the officer is traumatized that he had to deal with that. I'm sure that there's therapy involved when you take the life of someone else. Sad story all around, but is there a message that can be learned from this? Let's listen to the news story of an LA man who was taken out by the police after he decided to point something at them.
Chants for justice for Mario outside the LAPD Southeast Division Station. Mario Sanchez killed last Friday during a traffic stop on Imperial Highway east of Broadway. Officers say Sanchez was driving erratically when they pulled him over. According to investigators, officers ordered Sanchez to lower his windows and place his hands outside his vehicle. They say instead, the 35-year-old began yelling profanity at officers, then exited the car, faced officers, and then reportedly removed a dark object from his waistband area and quickly pointed it at them. That's when police opened fire.
They shot him in the head. They shot him all over his body more than 30 times. This is not fair. We need the police to pay for what they did.
Dozens of friends and family members showed up for this news conference, many of them holding signs with photos of Sanchez, who they say was heading home from work when the deadly shooting occurred. Officials say that dark object Sanchez was holding turned out to be a cell phone.
That dark object that he decided to point at these Los Angeles Police Department officers was a cell phone. Now let's rewind a bit. My son is 26 years old. He started driving around, 10 years ago or so. One of the first things I taught my son, and I still kind of mention him to this day in casual conversation, just as a reminder, one of the first things I taught my son was how to conduct himself whenever he is pulled over by a cop. When I first started teaching my son how to drive, I taught him how to make U-turns, taught him how to parallel park, taught him how to hop on the freeway. And just as importantly as all of those things, we had a whole lesson on specifically how to react, how to respond, how to conduct yourself when a police officer pulls you over. Guess what? When I was going down the list telling my son what to do, guess what was not on the list? Yelling at the cop. Yelling profanities at the cop. Getting out of the car when the cop doesn't tell you to get out of the car. And I damn sure taught my son never to point anything at a police officer. Now, I don't know this man's background, but I wonder if someone had this same conversation with him that I had with my son when I taught him how to drive, how to conduct yourself when you are being arrested, when you are being pulled over by a cop, how to conduct yourself if you happen to get in handcuffs. Things like that are so important, especially as people of color, because let's keep it real. We are the ones that are getting pulled over more. Ironically, we are the ones that are committing the most crime too. That's a whole other story. But we get pulled over more. So I made for sure, and I encourage everyone out there, if you have kids, I don't care what color they are, teach them how to conduct themselves when they are in the presence of a police officer. Okay? Because one thing that you don't teach them may be the reason that they get popped. These cops are human too. And they're trained that if someone pulls something at you, split second, you know how fast a bullet is? You know how fast a bullet is from going, you know how fast it is? These police officers have to make split second decisions, or it can mean the
difference between them not going home. And guess what? When a police officer walks out of his door, he kisses his wife on the lips, mwah, kisses his little boy on the lips. Mwah. His number one goal in his life is getting back home to his wife and his kid that night after his shift is over. That is his number one goal. And he's not going to take a split second more to think about it when some dingling, I'm sorry, it's a sad story, but when some dingling pulls out his cell phone and decides to aim it at a cop. I'm going home tonight. I may go home with a little trauma now that I had to take the life of someone, but I'm going home tonight. Black people, Hispanics, white people, Asian, please teach your children that if they are pulled over, do not act the way that this man acted. Apparently, allegedly, but most likely. Don't do that. Teach your kids to put all of their stuff in one, their insurance and their registration, have it in the glove compartment where they know it is. Don't have a bunch of fucking Jack-in-the-Box napkins around there, and you got to hold on, officer. Let me dig for it. I can't. I'm such a dingling. I can't find my driver's license, my registration and my insurance. Give me a second, because that little bit right there of you fumbling around could mean boom, 30 shots to your body. That's what that can mean. When you are pulled over, it's yes, sir, no, sir. If you feel that you are wronged, get their information and make a complaint later. Drive off and cuss the F out of them till you can't cuss anymore. But don't do it to their faces. It's nothing about being a punk. It's nothing about being a sissy. It's about going home that night to your family and not ending up a news story. Okay? Comment down below. What do you think? I know it's a sad story. This LA man who was taken out, but if he had just made a few more decisions, he'd be here right now. But let me know. What do you think? Comment down below. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. Ghetto Queen gets upset because she didn't like how one of the professors at the graduation, quote, snatched the mic out of her hand. So she had this to say right in the middle of the ceremony.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. You didn't let me get my moment, so I want to say my name is Khadijah Diano, and I'm graduating today. I don't like how you snatched the mic out of my hand, so today is going to be all about me.
Oh, drops the mic.
Ugh.
Congratulations!
Ugh, that just makes me want to throw up. So I'll play it for you again and witness this in your head, because I'm not playing the visuals for copyright reasons, but just picture it in your head. A queen and a professor who seems to be Caucasian or something along those lines. They're tussling back and forth for a microphone. And this is how the video starts. We don't know what happened before this. We don't know what happened after it. All we know is this 20 seconds of video where this queen and this Caucasian lady are tussling for a microphone. And the queen gets the best of her, takes the microphone, and says this.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. You didn't let me get my moment, so I want to say my name is Khadijah Diano, and I'm graduating today. I don't like how you snatched the mic out of my hand, so today is going to be all about me.
Oh, drops the mic. Congratulations!
This is why they don't like us. If you look in the crowd, not one person except for the chick behind the camera. Congratulations! Nah, bitch. Everyone else was looking appalled, shocked. Because this is not normal behavior. What the fuck are we doing? This is not normal behavior. Nothing about this is normal. So why the hell are we watching this? This is why they don't like us. 90% of the people looking at you, whatever your name was, that long ass name she popped. My name is Assalamu alaikum malakalukum kalua. Something. This is why they don't like us. No one thought that was cute, Miss Kalua. No one thought it was cute. Maybe one or two people thought it was cute, but you envisioned in your head some standing ovation as you walked away. Oh my God, thank you. And dropped the mic. No, trick. Just another example, and that's going to be on the internet forever and ever. Amen. Forever, ever, 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 ever. Yes, you're going to wake up and be like, good morning. Still on the internet. Be careful what you guys do out there, because it doesn't make us look good. And this is why they don't like us. What do you think? Comment down below. Do you think the Queen was right? We don't, once again, we don't know what happened before. All we know is that little 17, 18-second clip. That's all we know. Was she right? Was she wrong? Would you do something like that? I know I wouldn't. Yeah, it would take me a lot to come out of my cool like that. In front of everybody? Nah, it ain't happening. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. The traveling circus was basically the way that pro wrestling spread across the country. Pro wrestling as we know it today. But man, what an interesting time that was, because what these guys would eventually end up doing, these wrestlers, is they would wrestle 300. If there were 365 days in the year, they're wrestling 365 times, sometime twice on Sunday, putting their bodies through hell. And if they got sick one night or they got hurt one night, guess what? They still had to wrestle. If they didn't wrestle, they didn't get paid. There was no union, none of that. But wrestling had its ups and downs when it comes to ticket sales and things like that. Word got out a lot that back in the 40s and 50s that the matches were not on the level, meaning they weren't real matches, real fights. The winners were predetermined. But there was still that fascination with wrestling, like, is it real? Is it not? So it continued to grow and grow and grow and grow. Black wrestlers, white wrestlers, Native American wrestlers, people pretending to be Native American wrestlers, German wrestlers, people pretending to be German wrestlers. They all would travel the country and entertain the crowd. There was a lot of unfortunate racism in wrestling at the beginning. So a lot of black wrestlers were not able to wrestle white people, white wrestlers. That all changed when a man named Sputnik Monroe said, nah, man, we're going to change that. Look up the Sputnik Monroe story.
Black people back in those days, this is back in the 60s, they were required to watch wrestling. They had to go upstairs. They couldn't come on the main floor. And the funny thing about Sputnik was he was a baby face to the black people. They loved him.
Such a very, very interesting story. I think it was in the 50s. But see, what happened was back in the day, guys, whenever there was a wrestling event, the white folks got the best seats up in the house, obviously, and the black folks had to sit in the balcony sections, like way at the balcony sections, to where they can barely see what was going on in the ring. Sputnik Monroe was one of the first guys who said, nah, man, the black people should be able to sit right next to the white folks, and black wrestlers should be able to wrestle white wrestlers and make just as much money as the white wrestlers are making.
He finally told the promoter of Memphis, if my people, not my black people, but if my people are not welcome on the bottom floor in Ellis, he says, I'll never wrestle here again.
They need to do a documentary or a Lifetime movie on Sputnik Monroe. Very, very interesting story. I encourage all of you guys to go down that rabbit hole if you are a true wrestling nerd or historian like I am. A lot of you guys watching this right now, you probably already know about Sputnik Monroe. But if you don't, check dude out. But yeah, man, even going down south, I mean, the racism in wrestling was real, especially down south, where they didn't like those N-words, boy. And once again, there was still that thing where the fans didn't know, is it real? Is it fake? So the black guy comes in the ring, and usually he was the heel. Now, for my friends who are not familiar with wrestling jargon, a heel means a bad guy. The black guy would usually be the heel, and he would say stuff to rile up the crowd, get the crowd all excited, mad, upset, start throwing stuff in the ring. And a lot of these guys were getting shanked. They were getting popped at. They were getting physically assaulted, jumped, just so they can make maybe $10, $15, $20 a night. Now, going back to heel. When I said heel, heel is a bad guy in wrestling. Babyface is a good guy. All of these words were words that are called kayfabe. And kayfabe started out in the circuses. They have that circus jargon. There was that circus talk to let the workers, the people who worked for the circus, be able to communicate without letting the outside crowd know what's going on. The outside crowd were known as marks. That's where the whole word mark comes from. A la Boys in the Hood when he pulls up on him. Haha, mark. It means someone who is an easy target. That guy right there looks like a good mark. Let's bring him in the ring. Maybe we can get him to be into wrestling. Spread the word that, oh my God, this thing is really real. But yeah, so it must have been a cool time. I would have loved to get to experience it just for a little while. But the bassism, I gotta be careful with the word I use. For whatever reason, YouTube hates that word, the bassism, but starts with an R. The bassism was heavy back then, especially down south. And not only black wrestlers were getting assaulted, I mean, wrestlers, period, were getting assaulted. The bad guy was getting assaulted. They were whooping dudes' butts, or trying to whoop dudes' butts. But that was one thing. If you were going to be a wrestler, if you were going to enter that ring, the promoter trusted that you could protect yourself and you could keep the secret that wrestling is a work. Wrestling is not on the up. The matches are predetermined. There are wrestlers, and most wrestlers back then, who couldn't even tell their wives the truth, couldn't even tell their kids the truth. A lot of people didn't even know that their fathers and grandfathers and things like that were involved in this work until the internet came about. Or until later on when people started doing interviews and saying, yeah, I mean, that was predetermined, this was predetermined. But never fake. Never fake. These guys put their bodies through a lot. And in the 80s, there were a lot of newscasters. There were a lot of, when the wrestling was at its peak, it was in the 80s, man. Like Hulk Hogan took it to a whole other level. So that's when exposés were done on wrestling. That's when certain documentaries were made on wrestling, claiming that wrestling is, quote, fake.